Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we have new releases for 2026. So we're actually going to be talking about Q2 new releases, which means April, May, and June. Yes, I know we're in April. I know we're almost at the end of April. I have had this list ready since March and it just hasn't happened. So we are a little bit late getting this out, but I actually have 40 titles to talk about today, which is quite a lot. And because of that, I don't remember the summaries for everything, so we're gonna be reading the summary off of Goodreads. But just know, I'm so excited for all of these books. A lot of them I've already pre-ordered, not all of them obviously because that would be a little bit ridiculous, but we are gonna jump in, otherwise this video is gonna take forever. So first, on April 7th, which has already come to pass obviously, we had 6 books come out. The first was The Subtle Art of Folding Space by John Chu. Ellie's universe and this one is falling apart. Her ailing mother is in a coma, her sister Chris accuses her of being insufficiently Chinese between assassination attempts, and a shadowy cabal of engineers is trying to hijack the Skunk Works, the machinery that keeps the physics of each universe working the way it's supposed to. Daniel, Ellie's cousin, has found an illicit device in the Skunk Works, one that keeps Ellie's comatose mother alive while also creating destabilizing bugs in the physics of the universe. That's not a good day. If she can confront her mother's legacy and overcome her family's generational trauma, she just might find a way to preserve the Skunk Works and reconcile with her sister. But digging into her family's past is thornier than it seems, and the secrets she uncovers will force Ellie to choose between her family and the universe itself. The next one we have, I actually already have here because, like I said, I pre-ordered some books already and this came out on the 7th of April. It's The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark. This is actually a duo of authors. It's V.E. Schwab and Kat Clark, and it says 6 authors, 1 private island, 72 hours to write the ending that will change their lives. Arthur Fletch, one of the world's best-selling novelists, is a reclusive genius known for his iconic protagonists and fiendish twists. When 6 struggling authors are invited to spend a weekend on his private Scottish island, they arrive to discover a shocking secret. Archer Fletch is dead, and his last book is unfinished. Desperate to publish the novel, Fletch's agent and editor have summoned these writers in the hopes that one of them will imagine a worthy ending for his final book. To sweeten the deal, they are offering an irresistible prize. In addition to ghostwriting the last chapter, for a mind-boggling sum, they will also help the lucky writer successfully relaunch their own career, guaranteeing future bestsellers. The catch, the writers have just 72 hours to finish Fletch's magnum opus. It's the perfect plot. All it needs is a killer ending. Obviously, very, very excited. I have not read it yet. Then we also have The Tricky Business of Faerie Bargains by Rena McCarty. When Poppy Hill was a child, she was stolen from her family's Montana homestead and taken to the land of the Fae, where she spent more than a century as a cook in the Wild King's castle. Now back in the human world, she works for a company that brokers fairy bargains, looking for loopholes in their contracts. Then a bargain that Poppy is negotiating goes disastrously wrong and she has to return to the world she grew up in to try to rectify her mistake, facing danger, intrigue, and a pesky ex-boyfriend along the way. The next one we have is one that I didn't even know was coming out until semi-recently, I want to say. It's Piper at the Gates of Dusk by Patrick Ness. This is going to be a new trilogy, first book in a new trilogy, in the same world as the Chaos Walking trilogy, which starts with The Knife of Never Letting Go. I loved that trilogy so much. And so when I did my series that I've read before type of video, somebody mentioned that there's going to be more. And so technically this is the first book in the New World trilogy, but I'm very, very excited. Can I even tell you the summary on this? Okay, it's going to be 20 years since the previous series, and it's going to be following kids, like the next generation from that series. I'm not going to go into anything else because of the fact that I don't know how many spoilers are actually from that series into this one. I definitely want this, but now I'm also thinking I might not want to reread the other one. But yes. We then also have The Escape Game by Marissa Meyer and Tamara Moss. I've actually already read this as an arc. It's sort of a standalone, but it also leaves the ending open a little bit. Like the whole book is done, but it leaves the ending open a little bit for potentially more in a series, which I would love. I gave this 4 stars. It is YA and it's like an escape room game, basically. We have these kids, they're all teenagers and they go on to this escape game, this escape room game show, TV show type of thing. And in the very beginning of the story, we are told that like in season 4, I think it was, one of the contestants was like murdered on set. And we're now in season 5, but the season 4 murder, everybody thinks it's the sister of the contestant, but there's been no proof. And so now these characters are coming in and doing the escape room competition show, but also things keep popping up about the murder. I thought this was a really solid book, and I would love if they do more. The last one that we have for this date is The Alchemary by Rachel Vincent. Naked, knowing little more than her name, Amber Fallbrook does not recognize the stone tower she's awoken in, or the vast, glittering ocean outside the window. Turning, she finds a very different view. The beautiful, nearly naked man in the narrow bed is a stranger. So is the man who barges into the room unannounced, clearly expecting to find Amber alone. Who are they? Who is she? Why can't she remember? Shocked to discover that she's in her dormitory room at the Alchemary, the realm's prestigious university dedicated to the study of alchemy, Amber has no recollection of having been one of the school's top students for the past 2 years. The two men, brothers, are her childhood friends, even if friends is not the exact energy in the room. One brother claims to want to protect her, and the other to help her recover her memory. But Amber soon realizes that nothing is as it seems at the Alchemary. Not the intentions of her classmates and faculty, not the stunning labyrinthian campus, not the two brothers she's increasingly attracted to, maybe not even herself. Despite her memory loss, Amber rejoins her classmates and prepares for the deadly Alchemary trials, alongside the other mastery-level students. But as invigorating as the flowing language and symbology of alchemy is, she can't help but notice that for an institution's shining light on the quest for human perfection, there are a lot of dark shadows in its winding corridors. Okay, moving on to April 21st, so we are catching up. We also have 6 books that released on this date. The first is Love Galaxy by Sierra Branham. Temmie, a young trash collector stuck in a dead-end job on a garbage planet, finds herself with a golden ticket she never expected, an opportunity to compete in an intergalactic dating show starring the brother and sister heirs to the Galactic Empire. 24 women will compete on a televised program to marry the prince and princess, the future emperors, and to win the dynasty's favor for their home planet. Temmie may have been handpicked to date the quiet, bookish prince who is immediately taken by her brash personality and their shared passion for science, but she can't seem to keep away from the princess, and even though it couldn't be a worse idea, their chemistry is undeniable. But when contestants start turning up dead and conspiracies begin to swirl around anti-imperial motivations of several contestants, Temmie among them, so much more than feelings are at stake. In fact, very few of the participants of Love Galaxy have come on the show to find love. Then we also have Gods and Comics by Kat Cho. 17-year-old junior class vice president Grace Back has her entire future all mapped out with plans to become a doctor like her parents. But the weight of Grace's own daunting expectations lead to debilitating panic attacks that have made her a virtual outcast at school, even to her longtime friend and crush. To make matters worse, her grandmother and only real support system has just died. Halmonia was the glue that kept Grace's little family together, especially after she and her dad lost her mother to cancer when Grace was too little to have many memories of her. To cope with the grief of another loss, Grace starts a webcomic inspired by the Korean myths her Halmonia used to tell her as a child. In the webcomic Sun God, Grace spins the tale of Korean god Haemosu and his love, Yuwa. But with a twist, the two gods are trapped in the bodies of teenagers and, worst of all, cursed to attend high school. Grace never expected her comic to go viral, but it has. And more astonishingly, the fandom has also somehow conjured the real Haemosu, and now it's up to Grace to get him back home. Except when she starts to fall for Hae, sending him home is the last thing she wants to do. More troubling, Hae isn't the only god to suddenly reappear. Hae's sworn enemy has also been brought to the mortal realm and is set on destroying Hae, all while infecting humanity with a deadly disease. As an epic battle between gods looms, Hae is without his powers, so it may fall to Grace to fight back against a vengeful god hellbent on punishing anyone who gets in his way. Going on to the next one, we have Thistlemarch by Maria Corrigan. In the wake of World War I, the world is a decidedly unmagical place for Mouse Dunn. She once dreamed of becoming a Faerie anthropologist, but with one telegram, her world shattered. At the Battle of the Somme, her cousin's body disappeared into the mud, and her brother was left with debilitating shell shock. It was time, she knew, to put aside childish dreams. When Mouse receives news that her uncle has left her the fairy-blessed Thistlemarch Hall, a dilapidated manor in the English countryside, she must leave her brother's side and return to her childhood home to claim her birthright. But there is a catch in her uncle's will. If Mouse does not rehabilitate the crumbling house in 1 month's time, she will forfeit her inheritance and any hope of caring for her brother. It quickly becomes clear it's impossible to repair the manor in the allotted time until a mysterious fairy appears with a proposition. He offers to restore Thistlemarch for a price. Mouse knows better than to trust a fairy, especially one so insufferably handsome and arrogant, but she is out of options. There are dark and magical forces at work in the house, and Mouse must confront the ghosts of her past and the secrets of her heart, or lose Thistlemarch and herself in the process. Then we also have The Labyrinth of Waking Dreams by Michelle Kulwicki. Barron's Peak, West Virginia is not a place anyone would call magical, but Thea Laguerre calls it home. A high school dropout whose mother died in an accident, Thea is stuck working part-time jobs just to make ends meet. The most she has to look forward to are barn parties where she can make out with Callum, the one interesting boy who moved to town 6 months ago. Thea doesn't know it yet, but Callum was sent to Barron's Peak to watch her. He was raised within the Magician's Order, a shadowy organization meant to keep humanity safe from an underworld of monsters. Callum would sacrifice anyone, including himself, to help their cause, but he still can't help falling into Thea's orbit. She's the first person he's felt seen by since his childhood sweetheart, Oliver, who he hasn't seen since Oliver's banishment from the Order. But Oliver hasn't given up on Callum or on magic. Following a magical creature's trail to Barron's Peak, Oliver happens upon Callum and Thea at a barn party that turns into a monster-overrun massacre. To save Callum and the girl he's protecting from a wave of deadly fairies, Oliver opens a portal for the three of them to flee into the Labyrinth. To get home, Thea, Oliver, and Callum will have to work together to survive the Labyrinth's trials and discover the threads that brought them there. Then we also have The Many by Sylvain Neuvel. When advertising executive Carol Laveau loses it at Booker's donut shop and bites Booker on the arm, it's about the most interesting thing to happen in the small city of Marquette, Michigan in years. But that's only the beginning of the story. Carol and Booker find their minds merging in a collective that extends to include Carol's husband, Shivansh, and local doctor Evelyn Schlapp. The four of them become the beginning of something larger and stranger than they could have ever imagined. And then the last one we have for that date is Witch Queen Rising by Savannah Stevens. For New Orleans Witchkin, there is no greater honor than to become the Prime, chosen to rule, but the title is meant to pass between two rival houses of magic, not to the prodigal daughter of the former Prime who died under mysterious circumstances. As a girl, Seraphine Barreau was dubbed the Tick Witch for her ability to feed on magic and make it her own. Even among those who alter fate and manipulate reality, she was a powerful outcast, feared and misunderstood by her people. Now dragged back to continue the legacy that nearly destroyed her, Fiend has her work cut out for her. She must earn the respect of her people, navigate the politics of the paranormal communities residing in her city, and heal a broken heart, all the while battling a parasitic curse poisoning Witchkin. Between her werewolf ex, power-hungry vampires, and the skeletons in her family's closet, Fiend must learn to make peace with her past to save her and all of Witchkin's future. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to April 28th, and there are 4 books releasing on this date. The first is We Burned So Bright by TJ Klune. Husbands Don and Rodney have lived a good long life. Together they've experienced the highest highs of love and family and lows so low that they felt like the end of the world. Now the world is ending for real. A wandering black hole is coming for Earth, and in a month everything and everyone they've ever known will be gone. Suddenly, after 40 years together, Don and Rodney are out of time. They're in a race against the clock to make it from Maine to Washington State to take care of some unfinished business before it's all over. On the road, they meet those who refuse to believe death is coming and those who rush to meet it. But there are also people living their final days as best they know how. Impromptu weddings, bright burning bonfires, shared meals, and new friends. And as the black hole draws near, among ball lightning and under a cracked moon, in a kaleidoscope sky, Don and Rodney will look back on their lives and ask if their best was good enough. Is it enough to burn bright if nothing comes from the ashes? Then we also have Break Room by Nii Lee. This is the same author as the Dallergrit Dream Department Store, which I absolutely loved, so I'm very excited for this. 8 unsuspecting people receive an invitation to participate in a new reality show called Break Room. But what starts as an opportunity for fame is quickly revealed to be something far more unsettling when they learn how they were chosen, voted in by their respective co-workers as the office villain. Among them is an imposter, a mole planted by the show's producers. The only way to win the prize money is to uncover the saboteur before time runs out. As alliances shift and paranoia festers, the contestants begin to realize that the true challenge isn't surviving the show, it's facing their own selves. Welcome. Step into the world of the reality show Break Room, where every smile hides suspicion and every word could be a clue. Then we also have Our Rogue Fates by Sarah Glenn Marsh. When he isn't training to be a warden to become half the hero his father was, Griff Sayer is in the business of breaking hearts all across the town of Mayfair, although that slows down after settling in with his current boyfriend. Griff's ex-best friend, Mal Price, meanwhile, is in business with whatever or whomever puts good money in his hands. Now in their mid-20s, Griff and Mal have only exchanged scathing looks and carefully barbed jabs since the fight that sent them their separate ways years ago. But all that begins to change when an attack Mal plotted for his shady boss leaves Griff near death and their childhood friend Alice as his savior, forcing them back into each other's orbit. Livid at his boss, Mal makes a deal to earn his freedom and Griff's safety. He has just 4 weeks to retrieve an ancient treasure from Montrose Mire, a remote swamp known for its ghostly and beastly dangers. The same treasure Alice's beloved father, Rune, has been searching for when he disappeared for good. Armed with a map and a broken blade of runes, Mal sets off, with Alice and a reluctant and newly single Griff in tow. Yet the explosive tension between the two men, along with the dangers of the mire pressing in around them, makes for a more difficult journey than any of them could have ever anticipated. As Griff and Mal peel back their tough facades and shared feelings heat up in unexpected ways as they learn to trust again, they also realize that someone or something seems to be following their path. Someone who doesn't want them to succeed. No friend to their parents' old enemies, but also no friend to would-be heroes. And then the last one we have for this date is Death Meets Cute by Jay Penner. Iris Wayward wants to be bad. Truly bad. Terrifyingly, gloriously villainous. But after helping her sisters unleash a spell to throw the realm into chaos, Iris is left feeling strangely empty, and still not the villain of her dreams. So she sets off for the quiet town of Freywell to build her wicked legacy alone. Things start off with a crooked little cottage, a reputation for curses and potions, and a healthy dose of fear from the locals. But when her ogre bodyguard disappears, Iris needs new muscle. Good thing a fearsome orc just toppled over in her yard. Naturally, she decides to reanimate him. It's a perfect solution. Only Talon isn't the brooding warrior she was hoping for. He's gentle. He bakes. Worst of all, he's nice. But Iris can't possibly have a thing for her new employee. She's supposed to be the most wicked witch in town. While Iris struggles to turn Talon into the enforcer she deserves, her sisters arrive seeking help. Their magic is fading, and the cause may be closer than any of them realize. The timing couldn't be worse, and falling for an orc wasn't supposed to be part of her villain era, but it might turn out to be the best spell she's ever cast. Okay, now we're going to be moving into May. So on May 5th, there are 4 books releasing. The first is Death's Daughter by S.A. Barnes. Jacosta's carved out a normal life at Beecher University. Well, as normal as possible with a name like Jocasta and being the only child of death. She has good friends and a messy situationship with her former TA, but her friends, her crush, and her classmates don't know the truth about who or what she is. They would be horrified to discover Jo must feed to survive, and she feeds on them. But she refuses to take lives, feasting instead on their disappointments, failures, and rejections. It's not a perfect system, but it works. Until a sexy stranger and descendant of lust shows up on campus because Death just named Jo as his successor, making her a powerful ally and a massive target. Jo's safe little bubble is about to burst, but she will do anything to protect the people she loves, even if it means becoming what she hates. Then we also have Homebound by Portia Alon. This one I actually won in a Goodreads giveaway, so I have an ARC. I'm going to read it, hopefully before the book comes out. So I'm very excited for this. And it says, it's 1983 and Bex can't wait to get the hell out of Cincinnati. She's 19, blasting her Walkman, and hiding from the fact that her beloved uncle, the only person who understood her, is dead. But she has work to do. He left her with a half-finished game to complete, one last collaboration to find her way out of loneliness. Little does she know what Bex is making will echo far into the future and shape the lives of a scientist, a sentient automaton, and a flinty sea captain in ways she cannot imagine. All are bound together by their search for connection, and by a futuristic traveler on a mysterious mission through space. Next, we have The Undergrads Student Union by Julie Murphy. Clover Rowan Walsh knows the plan. 1. Get a full ride to her dream school, Wexley University. 2. Conquer the School of Business. 3. Say goodbye to the paycheck-to-paycheck life she and her mom have known for years. There's just one hiccup. With the first semester rapidly approaching, Clover learns her housing grant has fallen through. But a loophole presents. Married couples can live in the dorms for the price of one student. Clover is willing to sacrifice the sanctity of marriage, even if it means proposing to the one person she swore she'd never speak to again. Bennett Andrew Graves is the only heir to the Graves coffee empire. After spending his first year at Wexley, squeaking by in classes and becoming personally acquainted with the female student body, he is looking forward to living off campus, until the girl he grew up with, and whom he completely devastated years ago, walks back into his life with the most absurd, "Will you marry me?" Bennett can't refuse Clover. He owes her this, but that doesn't change the fact that these two can barely carry on a conversation without getting at each other's throats. Forget about sharing a dorm, much less one bed. But as Clover and Bennett hide the true nature of their marriage, they find that playing house isn't all that bad, especially with certain marital benefits in the mix. In fact, Clover and Bennett are soon forgetting the most important part of their fake marriage of convenience, that it's supposed to be fake. And then the last one releasing on this date is Stormbreaker by Nisha J. Tooley. For 19-year-old Poet Graves, New Manhattan has always promised safety, if she obeys. Raised within the ruling houses and betrothed to a powerful heir, she enters Amory Academy knowing her future has already been decided. But Amory is nothing like she imagined. Its trials are brutal, its loyalties conditional, and its rules designed to expose weakness. As Poet struggles to survive, she must hide the truth that could get her executed. The storms don't fear her, they answer back. When a dangerous outsider from beyond the city walls enters the academy, Poet is drawn to him despite everything she's been taught to believe. He threatens the life she's been promised, and choosing him could cost her not just her future, but her freedom. Okay, now we're going to be moving down to May 12th. There are 3 books releasing this date. The first is The Traitor's Gambit by Amanda Foody. This is the 5th book in the Wilderlore series, which is a middle grade fantasy series with magical creatures and things like that. I absolutely love this series. I am so excited for book number 5. We follow a boy named Barkley who, at the start of book 1, is from a village who does not like any magical creatures or the lore keepers who are like in charge of the magical creatures, and he ends up getting swept up into that world because one of the magical creatures, a wolf-like creature, bonds with him. And so now he's part of the magic side. Each book has like a new monster and things that they have to do to save people. I have just absolutely been loving this series, so I'm very, very excited. Then the next one we have here is How to Find a Guy in 5 Weddings by Cynthia Tamati. Kimiko Halim thinks happy endings only exist in fairy tales, but her late grandmother's will specifies settling down as a condition to inherit her yarn store, and the family's legacy is the only thing that matters. Kim's plan is to find a guy, date him until the store is hers, then gently uncouple from the poor, unsuspecting victim. But the clock is ticking and her dates have been more frogs than princes. When Rob Carmichael, a perpetual groomsman and self-proclaimed proponent of happily ever afters, overhears Kim's cynical view of love, he's baffled. Having been surrounded by happy relationships all his life, Rob convinces her that he can find her a soulmate in one of the next 5 weddings he's going to. What can possibly go wrong? This is billed as 27 Dresses meets the Matchmaker's List. I love 27 Dresses, so I am very excited for this. And the last one releasing on this date is The Bone Door by Frances White. This is not part of a series, it's a completely new book by this author, but The Voyage of the Damned was my favorite book like 2 years ago, like absolute favorite, so I'm very excited. How far will you go to open the bone door? When Hop awakes in an ancient labyrinth, he has no memory of his life or how he got here. He does not recognize the mysterious girl trapped with him, and he certainly cannot identify the shadowy figure stalking him, whispering terrible things. But there is one thing he is certain of: he must escape. The only way out of the labyrinth is through the bone door, but it lies behind a series of locked doors hidden across an array of strange realms. To open the way, Hop must complete impossible tasks before his time runs out. As Hop travels deeper into the maze, he discovers that he and his companions may be more connected to the place and its horrors than he could ever imagine. Unless Hop is able to unravel the true mystery of the labyrinth and his own role within it, the bone door and any hope of escape will be lost forever. Okay, moving down to May 19th, there are 3 books releasing this date. The first is Strange Familiars by Keshi Chow. Gwendolyn Chan just needs to get through her final year. At Seymour College of Magical Veterinary Sciences, she spends her days using her powers to heal companion animals while her nights are spent studying for exams. As the top student in the Magical Familiars stream, she is on track to be awarded Ducks of the entire school, as long as the pretentious twat Harrison Briggs doesn't beat her to it. Harris Ford Briggs. Wow, okay, actually that's what it is. Harris Ford Briggs was born into privilege. His father, the chief financial officer of MageCore, a major global distributor of magic, expects him to come top of the year. Harris Ford, though, can't help but notice that his father has been acting odd. Really odd. And there are strange whisperings, too. Rumors of uncontrollable surges of excess magic, which MageCore has been trying to cover up, as well as rampant corruption within the magical ministry itself. When these magical surges begin to rock their way through London, causing chaos and explosions, and familiars going feral, Gwen and Harrisford find themselves without a reliable source of magic, putting both of their academic careers at risk. To fix this, they must put aside their dueling feelings of lust and loathing and, along with Gwen's snarky cat familiar, team up to diagnose the problem. If they fail, not only is their education at stake, but also the fate of the magical world. Then we also have A Star-Cursed Heart by Annie Mayer. In the lead up to the Salem witch trials, a desperate man made a deal with the devil, a deal that would drag two families down with him. Now, over 400 years later, the Steadfasts and the Prinns remain caught in a curse that sentences both families to an existence of rigid rules, torturous consequences, and half-lives. Lucy Prynne and Ashes Steadfast are the latest to take on the mantle of this centuries-old curse. Lucy, born to try to reap the souls of the hopeful, and Ashes, born to stop Lucy, no matter the cost. But before they inherited their respective curses, it sure felt like Ash's purpose was Lucy, her best friend, her closest confidant, her true love. Ash knows the rules. She keeps her head down, her emotions in check, and she fights Lucy, no matter the personal cost. They are doomed to an incessant battle between good and bad, self-righteous and carnal. Or so Ash thinks. But when she resists her instincts to fight Lucy and finally starts to fight the curse instead, she realizes there might just be a way to end this once and for all. If not in this timeline, then the next. As generational secrets begin to unravel, Ashes and Lucy join forces against the true threat that has haunted their families for centuries, even if it costs them their lives and their love. And the last one for this date is Startup Hell by Caitlin Rozakis. Morgan Blackwater's mother is a kick-ass, world-saving, demon-slaying Shadow Council wizard. As for Morgan, Morgan's a junior salesperson at a tech startup that can't even decide what its product is. But with magic dyslexia and a disinclination to kick ass, Morgan is doing her best, carving out a niche for herself in the mundane world. Leaving work late one night, she discovers her boss dead from the effort of summoning a demon to trade his soul in order to make his quarterly target. The disturbingly attractive demon, Lucaroth, Luke for short, is trapped here until he finds someone to sell their soul. While trying to sneak Luke out of the building, Morgan runs into her infamous mother. Apparently someone has been summoning demons and she's here to get to the bottom of it. Trying to protect Luke from her mother, Morgan gets sucked into the infernal plane and discovers hell really is a corporate nightmare. She only gets back home with a promise to deliver a human soul of her own. While her coworkers are really annoying, she's not willing to sacrifice their souls. The company's tech bro CEO, though, is another story. Okay, now we're going to be moving down to May 26th, and there are 3 books releasing on this date. The first is A Curse of Beasts and Magic by Janine Frost. Rain Stone was the sole survivor of a horrific creature attack while camping. Her account of the attack was attributed to shock, but Rain knows all too well that her story is true because now she carries the same beast inside her. She's been restraining its violent urges by letting it feed on the pain and chaos she's exposed to as an ER nurse, and by playing vigilante against would-be muggers at night. But when Rain uses the beast's energy to heal a frail elderly gentleman from a seemingly random attack, she opens herself to a new world of danger. Literally. Remington Remy Byrne knows that the wall between a realm of deadly mythic creatures and our own world is very thin. He's the warden who guards the gateways between them. He also rules the supernatural creatures living in secret among us. Rain's beast makes her an intruder on Remy's territory, but the elderly gentleman she saved is Remy's grandfather, and her beast contains power that could tip the scales in a sinister plot against Remy's rule, if Rain allies with him. Will they be friends or foes? Or will the dangerous attraction between them turn into something else? And can our world be saved by their explosive alliance? Then we also have Bromantasy by Myra Roche. Fellas, is it gay to kiss your BFF while on a quest through the forest you're unqualified for? Juniper O'Reilly is good at only 2 things, demolishing a pint of mead and finding the perfect skincare routine. Everything else, taking care of the fam, bartering for goods, any sort of manual labor, falls to Juniper's best friend, the absurdly capable, endlessly patient Mo Elmthorn. But when Juniper accidentally volunteers them for a quest to kill a fearsome monster, he knows he's finally gotten in over his head. Juniper hates camping, he hates the dark, and there's no way all these foraged mushrooms are going to sit well in his stomach. One thing he doesn't hate? How good Mo's thighs look in his questing pants. He doesn't have time to think about that though, with a monster to hunt and their futures on the line. But monsters come in all shapes and sizes. When Juniper and Mo realize that the terrifying beast they've sworn to kill is just a scared little girl torn from their family, they're off to find not only the true villain of the story, but maybe even a happy ending. And the last one releasing on this date is The Romance Loop by Mary Shotwell. Now, I do not see any summary on Goodreads. I think this is an indie book, and we shall see if it comes out on this date, because that's all I can see here. I remember seeing this on Instagram or something like that, and this is going to be like a romance book with like some sort of time loop. It also looks like a person's coming out of a book. I don't remember anymore, but I still want to read it. Then we're going to be moving into June now. So on June 2nd, there's one book releasing, which is Father Material by Alexis Hall. This is the third book in the London Calling series that started with Boyfriend Material, and then we moved to Husband Material, and now we have Father Material. I have not even read Husband Material, but I am so excited for this one because I love Boyfriend Material. I own Father Material, I just need to read it. But yes, we're just following Luke and Oliver through their relationship. They were sort of fake dating and sort of rivals to lovers almost in the first book because their personalities clashed a lot, but I absolutely love them. And so, yes, I need this. Okay, let's move on to June 9th. There are two books releasing on this date. One is The Unmagical Life of Briar Jones by Lex Croucher. For as long as they can remember, Briar Jones dreamed of attending the Temple School of Thaumaturgy. Behind its looming ornate gates, the elite prep school, the place that has produced the most CEOs and prime ministers in British history, is whispered to be magical. Briar's best friend, Sebastian Wolf, never cared about Temple or believed in the rumors. He just wanted them to stay together forever. When at the age of 11, Seb gets an acceptance letter and Briar doesn't, their childhood friendship is shattered. Seb vanishes onto Temple's grounds, and Briar resigns themselves to a mundane life. But they can't completely forget their yearning for Temple, for the extraordinary, to be one of the chosen in the ivory tower. 7 years later, a summer job advertises a temp position sorting through the junk in Temple's attics. Briar takes it, and they discover that quiet, sensitive Seb, the boy they once loved more than anything else in the world, has become a beautiful, arrogant villain feared by most of the school. And worse, the secrets Temple is hiding might not be so magical after all, but a dark conspiracy with implications that extend far beyond the gates. And then the other one on this date is You Won't Forget Me by Maisie Eddings. Lost, reckless, in love, Cubby Clark is the heart of her band, loyal, earnest, and determined to make music that matters. But just as they're about to break out, Connor, her on-again, off-again boyfriend, walks away and rockets to solo fame with a hit song tearing her down. Left with a fractured band, a publicly adored and toxic ex, and restless writer's block, Cubby is barely holding it together. The only thing keeping her steady are her friends and bandmates, Darcy and Harry, especially Darcy, bright, magnetic, and more guarded than she lets on. But when a seemingly romantic photo of Cubby and Harry goes viral the same night Cubby and Darcy hook up, the inseparable pair begin to fracture. Thrust into a whirlwind tour, Cubby and Darcy are forced into close quarters. Now Cubby has one summer to decide what she's willing to risk. Walking away would be easier, but staying might mean everything. Okay, moving on to June 16th. There are 4 books releasing on this date. The first is A Prince Among Pirates by Katie Abdo. Kit Davenport is in trouble. Not that this would surprise anyone who knows him. Headstrong, reckless, and utterly unsuited for the stodgy House of Lords, Kit has spent years dodging his father's stern disapproval and delighting in clandestine rendezvous. But time is running out. With an arranged marriage looming and the confines of white wigs and stiff decorum closing in, Kit is desperate to escape a life that feels completely wrong for him. His solution? A wildly impulsive decision that lands him aboard the Deliverance, a galleon captained by the infuriatingly charismatic Reggie Sharp. With a devil-may-care attitude and a delicious grin, Captain Sharp commands the waves with his crew of misfits, who all turn out to be pirates. Before Kit can say wrong ship, he's trading ballroom etiquette for rum-soaked camaraderie, explosive gunfights, and perhaps, most excitingly, heart-stopping kisses under the stars. But life at sea holds just as many secrets as treasures, and when Kit's past catches up with him, he'll have to decide who he truly wants to be, a gentleman or a pirate. Then we have Romantic Hero by Kirsty Greenwood. Gertie Bickerstaff writes happily ever afters for a living, or she did until her own love life fell apart. Now her ex is thriving, her deadline is looming, and she can't write a single word. The last thing Gertie needs is more drama, like waking up to find a confused and rugged cowboy on her sofa. And not just any cowboy, but River Oakley, the villain from her unfinished novel. Somehow very real and very shirtless. River wants to go home. Gertie wants her life back. So they strike a deal. He'll use his cunning ways to help her win back her ex. She'll finish the novel, and surely he'll return to whatever world he rode in from. But as River Oakley proves to be much more than just the bad guy, Gertie has to choose the ending she thought she wanted, or the plot twist she never saw coming. Then we also have Dearly Departed by Chip Pons. Hayden Harlow, once the mighty Hades, has spent centuries quietly resenting his fall from immortality. Stripped of his godhood by the allegedly irreversible Immortal Retirement Act, he now runs Harlow & Sons Funeral Home, a front for his eternal sentencing among mortals, and a bleak reminder of the purpose he's lost. Still, he's determined to claw his way back, if only the fates at City Hall would stop toying with him. Enter Levi Wilder, a florist with an artist's heart, an infectious smile, and a gift for finding beauty in life's messiest moments. When Hayden storms into Levi's shop to complain about a bouquet of sunflowers, an offensive choice for a funeral in his opinion, their worlds collide. Hayden is all restraint and shadows, Levi is all sunshine and charm, but beneath the clash lies an undeniable spark neither can ignore. As their connection blossoms, Hayden finds himself caught between the life he once knew and the bright future Levi dares him to imagine. But trusting Levi means risking the walls he's kept in place all these years. And it's not just his heart on the line, because in the threads of fate, one choice can change everything. And then the last one on this date is The Someday Garden by Ashley Poston. When Sophie Dreer plans her escape to coastal Maine for the summer, for a temporary job revitalizing the storied grounds at Lilymore Hall, she doesn't expect to fall in love. But she does, with the beguiling land, the fragrant flowers, and the towering hedge maze, with the quirky staff and the enigmatic woman who owns the place. And then the door appears. Never in the same place twice, it leads her to a secret and unfinished garden with a frustrated thundercloud of a man trapped inside. This mysterious garden is not the only sign that the future of Lilymore is unstable. The foliage resists Sophie's careful nurturing, vines threaten to strangle the hedges, and the manor's owner has wild ideas about who will take over when she retires, including her inconveniently attractive nephew, who is also there just for the summer. Despite herself, Sophie has come to care for the residents of Lilymore just as much as she cares for its grounds. With the help of one man on the outside of the secret garden and one man on the inside, she might be the only person who can figure out exactly what Lilymore needs to bloom once more. Okay, we're getting to the end here. Moving on to June 23rd, there's one book releasing, which is Nemesis Mine by Amy Archer. Nobody is more surprised than Cyrus to learn that he's no longer considered the greatest villain in the land of Athica. Sure, he's lying about the fact that his magical power is making flowers grow, and maybe lately he's spent more time embroidering pillowcases than tormenting the locals. But that doesn't mean he's ready to be yesterday's evil news. Enter the hero Maximilian, the realm's golden boy, complete with a blinding smile, chiseled abs, and an infuriating habit of spreading hope and joy. Gross. If Cyrus wants to be taken seriously, he'll have to take this guy down. But Maximilian isn't quite as perfect as he seems. When he proposes a scheme to fake an epic rivalry and increase their fame, Cyrus can't resist. Stage the battles, soak up the spotlight, share the spoils. It's a villainously good marketing plan. There's just one hitch. Pretending to hate your nemesis becomes a lot harder when you start falling for them instead. Okay, and then finally on June 30th, there are 3 books releasing. So the first one is The Winged Game by Sophie Kim. Kara Witchett, the violent rugby-esque game played atop winged beast, was once Thaisa Cho's whole life. And she was once the United Kingdom's most promising player, until her nemesis, rival player Keon Locke, destroyed her career in a single moment. Expelled from the sport in disgrace, Thaisa has spent the last 2 years dreaming of nothing but revenge and relishing watching Keon's team plummet to the bottom of the league. So when Thaisa is offered the chance to redeem herself and her career, she can't refuse, even if the offer is coming from the very man who ruined everything in the first place. It's close to a dream come true, except for that pesky clause in her contract that demands she and Keon enter a fake relationship in order to garner some much-needed positive PR for the team. This could not be a worse match. Thaisa and Keon only have 2 things in common: their love of the game and their undying hatred for each other. Yet, as a mysterious illness befalls the winged creatures of the entire league, putting both the beast's life and the very sport itself at stake, the athletes find themselves partnering up in other ways, determined to crack the case of the eerie sickness. As their investigation takes them on a whirlwind adventure, Keon and Thaisa are prepared for anything. Anything, that is, but their fake for the camera's relationship to maybe, just maybe, become something real after all. Then we also have The Feywild Job by C.L. Polk. Saldean has sworn never to fall in love. That oath isn't just a personal promise, but rather a magical pact granting them powerful abilities. The only catch? They must never give their heart away, a deal that Saldean is perfectly content with. They've seen firsthand how messy love can get. Saldean prefers their no-strings-attached life as a con artist, pulling off heists and leaving a trail of broken hearts behind them. But when a grift goes horribly wrong, they catch the eye of a mysterious patron with a job offer they can't refuse. The mission? Steal a gem called the Kiss of Enduring Love and return it to the Feywild. Simple enough, until Saldean discovers their ex-partner Kel, a charming bard, is part of the team. The last time Saldean saw Kel, things hardly ended on good terms. A kiss became a betrayal, leaving Kel hurt and confused for almost a decade. But Kel can't just walk away, not when this job might finally be his ticket back to the Feywild. Forced to work together again, their adventure takes them from high society parties to Feywild couples therapy. But as Saldean and Kel rekindle their chemistry, they realize the gem is much more than a Fey bauble, and their simple heist has summoned powerful enemies. And then finally, the last book that I have on this list for today is The River She Became by Emily Varga. I'm going across the river and I'm going to save us all. Yasima is a brilliant scholar and loyal servant of the Empire, or so they think. By day, she catalogues the Fae relics of her conquered kingdom, but by night she reclaims the artifacts in secret to restore magic to her dying land, until she finds the long-lost key to cross the river into the Fae world and save her people. But a ruthless realm awaits her there, ruled by monsters wearing beautiful skin, especially the cold-eyed captain who sees through her lies. But even he isn't what he seems. Under the guise of upholding a cruel regime, he works to overthrow it from the inside. To succeed, he needs the same lost relic Yasima needs, the crown of an ancient Fae queen. With magic that is a mystery even to her, Yasima can help him find the crown and save his family from a fate worse than death, unless she steals it first to help her own. To survive, they must work together to outwit ancient curses, battle creatures born of nightmares, and find a power that could resurrect their worlds. But as secrets unravel and loyalties blur, they face the greatest danger of losing their heart to each other. And that is everything. My mouth hurts from talking so much. So many books coming out in this quarter, and like I said before, I know technically we're already in April, but yes, I'm very, very excited. I will say some of the names in here were a little bit interesting. Like we have a character named Poet and a character named Cubby. Some of the choices nowadays I do feel are a little bit weird, especially if those books end up being contemporary. I think the Cubby one is, I can't remember which one was Poet, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's anything that I missed that you are excited for as well. And that is going to be it from me today. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more videos, please subscribe. I have videos coming out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye.